everybody with this group, I need to see hands.
A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls. And on behalf of the Breakout Lodge, and along with America's wrestling promotion, National Wrestling Superstars, we'd like to say welcome to the Breakout Lodge and tonight's NWS's Championship.
Everyone needs a place like this, a place to be the main attraction. So Friday and Saturday nights across New Jersey, grown men in spandex battle it out in suburban VFW halls, church auditoriums, and middle school gyms. This is wrestling's independent circuit, and it's as far away from the packed arenas and bright lights of television wrestling as you can get. National Wrestling Superstars is a collection of dreamers, has-beens, and never-weres. It's the state's best-known indie promotion. And on nights like these, a few hundred fans will shell out $20 to watch 2 or 3 hours of live entertainment. Once you catch the wrestling bug, once you feel the pull of the crowd, you're hooked. But the reality is, this is wrestling's bottom rope. The indies are both the beginning and the end of a career, and nearly everyone wishes they were somewhere else. These men all dream of performing on wrestling's biggest stage, World Wrestling Entertainment. But for now, they're here. And for most, this is where they'll stay.
He insists on being known as the Love Machine. He is Atlantic City's Nikki Ocean.
I'm just a love machine, and I won't work for nobody but you. I'm just a love machine.
Monday through Thursday, I go to work. Nobody knows who I am. I'm just the guy that works there. But Friday and Saturday, I'm Nikki Oceans. I'm in the center of a ring. There's hundreds of people just focusing in on me. It's a feeling you can never imagine, replicate, or even try to replicate. It's that good of a feeling. Growing up as a kid, I always had like the Ultimate Warrior posters and all the wrestling figures and the plastic rings, and that's all I did was just dream about being a wrestler my entire life. Everyone wanted to be a fireman, a cop, I want to be an astronaut. I just wanted to be a pro wrestler.
Even pro wrestlers have to start somewhere, and Sean Redding was raised into wrestling. His dad does the posters you see in your local storefronts. By the time Sean was 14, he was in the ring. He's already a 10-year veteran.
Certain Fridays, I would get taken out of school a little earlier. My dad would come pick me up, say he had to take me out, and that's where we would go. I didn't have a normal childhood growing up because every weekend consisted of wrestling. Wrestling was my life. I don't want to make a living doing indie wrestling. Would I like to make a living, being on TV and traveling the world? Hell yeah, everybody would.
There's a certain amount of guys that I think can hold their own with the WWE guys. Certain amount of guys that'll be on the roster that I use just for basically to help enhance attendance, if you know what I'm saying. If you said, can Nikki Oceans work in the WWE? Absolutely.
The man behind the operations is Dapper Johnny Falco. His real name is Joe, but that's as far as he'll let us go. Twice a week, he throws on a cheap button-down and plays the part of public announcer and commissioner, welcoming fans to the action.
And this bout is a special handicap match.
Inside his Hazlitt basement office is where the show is really made. He scripts out the scenes his wrestlers will perform. He hand cuts every ticket. Before a show, he'll go store to store placing flyers anywhere they'll allow it. Call the organization's printed number, and it goes both to Dapper's home phone and his cell.
Wrestling, can I help you? There's nights that I'll go next to the bed, and I know there's a couple of shows coming up. The phone's always next to me, laying to the bed, and I'm picking up the phone 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night doing ticket orders. And that's what it's all about, because the people don't know that it's a private house or your office is in the basement. So they don't know that when they're dialing the phone. So I have to answer the phone. Does my wife like it? He's going to give it to you.
Dapper also books the wrestlers. He gets packages by the dozens with tapes of men hoping to break into the business. He is the first call for guys with pay-per-view dreams, and the last chance for former wrestling legends.
My buddy that was going with me, I had not been to one of the indie shows, but he'd been to Madison Square Garden with me and the Spectrum back in Philadelphia when it was, I don't know if it's still what it's called now, but if it's even still there. But we was joking with him, like, because we was like the address and it was a church. I'm like, wow, ain't that something? from going to being a main event in Madison Square Garden, where now is like 28,000 people, to going into a church in a little town in Jersey that's, you know, you have to ask the people even in the city where it's at.
Marty Jannetty is the name on the flyer that draws fans in. In the late 1980s, he was on top of the wrestling world. He was one half of the Rockers and, along with Shawn Michaels, the pair burst into stardom in the World Wrestling Federation.
We was on the marquee many nights of main event as the Rockers. Great feeling to pull up to Madison Square Garden and see, you know, your name running across the board. The Rockers main event versus Powers of Pain or the Brain Busters. Who else? We were in sold out arenas, you know, to cheer us on for the things we were doing in front of 500 elsewhere. And it's like, wow, all this, and then you get a paycheck too. You know, we were like, this is heaven.
Lately, the amount of shows we've taken a lot more hits over the last year than we did over the last couple of years. I got a saying these days, I can have a show with Hulk Hogan on it, and I don't think I'd fill the gym up anymore.
But 10 years ago, wrestling was truly hot. Dapper calls it the golden era, and his promotion was drawing 1,000 people or more to every show. Wrestlers Danny Gimondo and Chris Ford were just teenage friends back then, but they got their first taste of wrestling on independent promotions just like NWS.
Danny was probably 16, I was probably 17 or 18. I was living in Rutherford, he was living in Lodi, close by. I got my license before him, and I had a car, so I would usually pick Danny up and we would drive all over the East Coast, as far up as Boston and Maine, and as far down south as North Carolina, Baltimore, places like that.
We had the keys to this one place, and we would go in and after hours and do matches for like an hour straight and not even know where the time went. You know, we were two kids who just had such a passion. When we grew up, here we are on the independents, and we're usually like the heavyweights, and we can't believe we're looking at the young guys like they don't even look like wrestlers. You know, at least like I think we tried to look like we were wrestlers when we were 15, or he was 17, I think, when I was 15. He's got some age on me. 1996 to 2002, I probably did 100 to 200 matches for WWE. I mean, I went to Memphis for them, down to Florida, Georgia. I mean, they're like, can you be in South Carolina tomorrow? Sure, no problem.
New, exciting wrestlers from all over the world to the forefront than anybody. And this guy, dangerous, Devin Story.
So Kevin Sullivan brought me into WCW on Nitro. You could YouTube this match. I look horrific. I got a blondish red mullet haircut with this bodysuit, and they bring me into Nitro to work with Conan, and I'm doing flips off the chairs and stuff like that. I had a few stints there, but I really had to stay locally. I had to finish school.
Chris chose to go to physical therapy school before refocusing his sights on pro wrestling. His friend Danny, however, packed his bags and moved down to Louisville on his own dime. There he trained with the WWE's developmental program. For both men, it paid off.
I grabbed my cell phone, and of course everybody who I wanted to tell didn't answer their phones. So I had nobody to say anything to. You know, my girlfriend at the time, I called her, she didn't answer. My best friend, I called him, didn't answer. My mom answered, and I said, guess what? And she's like, what? I'm like, I just got hired by WWE. It's the greatest feeling in the world.
After years of wrestling on the indies, both Chris and Danny had gotten their shot. But making it as a pro wrestler takes sacrifice and dedication and a little bit of luck. The route isn't always direct.
I want wrestling to be my life. I would love to support a family and make a living doing wrestling. As of right now, I can't, so I have to work basically a regular full-time job and do it. But if the opportunity came where it was wrestling full-time, but you have to move down to Florida, I'm in.
Achieving this dream takes as much dedication outside the ring as in it. And Shawn wants to be a star. He wants to look like the men on the posters of his childhood bedroom. So he hits the gym 5 days a week. He takes supplement after supplement. He donned self-tanner to make his muscles pop, and he even changed jobs when they began asking him to work on show nights.
The one thing I just got to figure out how to do is just appear bigger. Got to be larger than life. Because if you look the same as an audience member, it's not really that believable.
Dedication doesn't always pay off. As hard as Sean tries, there's no guarantee he'll make it. And even if he gets his shot, well, there's no telling how long it might last. After more than 7 years in the WWF as a tag team, the cracks began to grow between Marty and Shawn Michaels. Owner Vince McMahon staged a historic breakup where Michaels threw Jannetty through a plate glass window and propelled himself into stardom.
We ended up getting, and a lot of people in the wrestling world know this, we ended up getting in an actual fight. And from that, that was the beginning of the end for the team.
That guy's a rocker too. Yeah, that's a rocker too. That's the other rocker.
What we'd like to do, and he goes, we'd like to, Marty says, we see superstar in Sean. Don't quite see that in you yet. Which I was like, just deflated me to the ground, like, oh.
Marty would spend several years bouncing around the organization. He briefly held the Intercontinental belt. And in 1997, 9 years after his debut, he left the WWE for a better contract offer. Soon after, a shoulder injury suffered in the ring would force him out of wrestling.
You know, yeah, I thought it was over. I mean, I went into a deep depression over that. And what used to be partying for fun, you know, what we partied with the drugs and alcohol, became one now of escaping pain. Not physical, but emotional pain. Because I thought that was it, 14 years and I'm done. And I never really got to do what I wanted to do. Or I say wanted to do, I just thought I could do more.
When you want to become anything you want to become as a kid and you finally get there and you've worked your butt off your whole entire life for it, it's the worst thing in the world to hear that you're let go. I started really heavily drinking, you know, in my spare time. It was like, I have nothing to do today. As long as I went to the gym, got that out of the way, I would just start drinking and just, you know, I wound up getting a DUI in Georgia and losing my license. And I was like, I can't stay here anymore. I said, if I stay in Georgia, I'm gonna die.
Route 76, Newark.
At 35, Danny's routine isn't much different from Sean's. After his release from the WWE, he packed on the pounds. 5 years later, he's trying to get the look too.
I've gotten myself finally into shape where I can call WWE and say, throw me in an opening match at the Izod Center, throw me in an opening match in Madison Square Garden, and trust in the fact that I'm gonna get a job if I want it.
Danny is like many other pros that are out there. They are professionals at what they do. They look the part, they talk the part, they act the part. But there's an abundance of guys like Danny out there. He's great for our promotion, and he's great for a couple other promotions. But there's an abundance of guys like Danny in each pocket of the country that have gone that little extra step, but haven't made it for one reason or the other. I hope he does get the call back. I really do.
It's the glamorous life. Saturday night. A beautiful Saturday night. Most people are going on dates and going to movies, and here I am, taping wrists and wrestling in front of what? Maybe 100 people.
Let Daddy in. Hey, dude.
WCW was bought out by WWE. 2 weeks prior, I was given my release in a cost-cutting measure when I really wasn't one of the highest paid guys on the roster by any means. Had I gotten that opportunity, I would have never have met my wife, would have never have had my kids. So I hate leaving them in the morning. And just your mindset switches to where, okay, I'm not pursuing this full-time thing anymore. I'm not pursuing, I have to be with WWE. It becomes something that I choose to do for fun.
Chris spends his days working full-time as a physical therapist. With a career outside of wrestling, he is the anomaly. Most pro wrestlers, no matter their age, have nothing else to fall back on.
I'll probably go tonight and probably make $125 in that ballpark, and it's not a lot of money, but I equate it to is if I was a guy that played softball and that was my thing, that was my hobby, that was what I enjoyed. It's like going out to play men's softball and getting paid for it.
Daddy looks scary.
What did he look silly?
If I can go out and perform, if I can take whatever amount of people is there, whether it be 300, a small high school gym or something, or 30,000 in the garden, if I'm able to go out and whatever adjustments I got to make in character, perform to where they're entertained, then I'm still going to do it.
For wrestlers on the indies, most will never make it. And for those who have tasted success, however brief, their chances of getting back are slim. But dreams are a hard thing to let go.
The devil do or the devil don't. As the promoter, I'm promoting these older guys, and I'm hoping people who, on one hand, I'm condemning them because they're living off their memories, but on the second hand, I'm also promoting them, and I'm promoting the fact that come and see the memory, so I can make a living, or the sponsor can make money that night. So, again, it's a two-sided, if you know what I'm going with.
Let me ask you, which ankle is hurting worse today? Left one, the right one? Which one gets the extra brace?
It's tough to look at because I grew up watching Marty Jannetty. The Rockers, when I was a little kid, were the coolest people in the world. The Rockers, the new Rockers, and it's just tough to see him having to wear all these braces and, have to move the way he does because he can't move any other way. And it is depressing to see that this is it. This is all his name is what he has going for him. He can still work, he can still move in the ring. But as soon as you see him outside the ring, it's tough to watch. And I don't want that to be me.
These days, when Marty Jannetty isn't wrestling, he's still consumed by it. He can earn hundreds of dollars for appearance fees. He talks about opening a wrestling school and occasionally gives seminars. For a few dollars, young wrestlers can come to pick the brain of a man who made it to the top of the professional wrestling world.
Persistence, patience, and persevere. And perseverance is just never giving up.
What I feel bad for sometimes is, and it's just not Marty's not the only victim of this, is guys that have wrestled their whole lives and made a good living doing it, and they didn't have a chance to do something else. Now would be maybe the time to go back to school or learn a trade or do something besides, because what are you going to do now in 10 more years? What are you going to do when you can't physically wrestle at all anymore? Then you're stuck in that. And I can name a ton of legends, Hall of Fame guys that are still wrestling, in their 50s, 60s, still doing appearances in 70s. There's got to be a time where you realize the money's not going to pay your bills anymore, and it's not going to happen.
I don't want to let it go. I did it from the time I was 14 until now. This is all I really do know. I don't know how to go out and go running or pick up baseball or pick up football, flag football. I don't know how to do any of that stuff or how to even go about doing it. It's like somebody smoking a cigarette. They can't wake up and not smoke a cigarette. They can't eat and not smoke a cigarette afterwards. They can't drive in a car and not have a cigarette. I can't go Monday through Sunday and not have a show and just get that basically purpose of meaning. My meaning for now is to entertain people.
Hugh Morris always had a great saying. He said, pro wrestlers are a special kind of idiot, and who knows why we do the things we do. It's just, you get out there, the roar of the crowd, you just get hooked in that moment, and just a switch flicks off inside you, and just let's do it. At the time, while it was very disappointing that I wasn't picked up, like I couldn't have ended up in a better place. So I just tell everybody, just find something else, work as hard as you want at pro wrestling, have a great time, shoot for the stars, but just in the event you can't grab that star, you have to have a more secure plan.
I've created a unique situation for myself in hindsight, and it's the fact that I can do it because I like to do it.
Let me see it, because I don't have a mirror. Oh, that's a nice one. That's a nice one.
The worst thing was all my friends telling me, especially the ones into wrestling, Marty, you're 40 now, man. Stop. Go and do something else. You're 40, you know. Yet when I'm 45, I wanted to call all those people back. When I got the contract, I wanted to call them all back and say, see, it's never over till you say it's over.
At 45, Marty was back in the WWE. 14 years after Shawn Michaels threw him through a plate glass window, the pair reunited as the Rockers on national TV. 9 years after he left the company, they again signed him to a contract. It didn't last.
And I guess I screwed up. And the partying, one of the side effects of partying all the time, crazy lifestyle, is there, you know, sometimes bad things happen out of it. I ended up getting in some more legal trouble, which this time ended up having to do some jail time.
But I respect everything you've done. And I want to go into this match, man versus man.
There's got to be, unless you're a girl.
I'm not a girl.
Friday and Saturday nights, in towns like Denellen and Manville and Brick, in front of dwindling crowds, the men of National Wrestling Superstars go out and perform. This is who they are.
So I'm gonna send my very best friend to the back. I don't need him. Because you know what, I respect you enough where I want to beat you in the middle of this ring by myself. And I'm going to show everybody that I'm better than a legend. I'm better than a WWE superstar. I'm better than you, Marty Jannetty. And I don't need somebody to back me up. So get ready for the beating of your life.
And it's in your blood. It's showbiz. It's in your blood. Why does the comedian go out there who's, you know, they're still out there? You know, if Henny Youngman was still alive, he'd still be doing it. If Ronnie Dangerfield was still alive, they'd still be doing it. Don Rickles still does it. Why? It's in their blood. They make people laugh. So if a wrestler can entertain somebody, why shouldn't they still be out there? It's in their blood.
I still believe I have something to offer. Big time wrestlers that made money didn't make money until they knew what they were doing and they were in their 30s. That's when guys start making money. That's the wrestling business. And if you're really bitter about it, you're never gonna be successful. You know how many times the door's shut on me and I just stick my foot in it and I make sure the door opens up and I just keep walking through another door. Typical night at work.
So basically, wrestling, you take show by show. Hopefully, one day at one of those shows, someone's there, you know, likes what you do, says if you can change this, this, and this, you know, we'll see what we can do with you. That's all I'm looking for. I'm not looking for someone to come offer me a huge contract. Just that chance, you know what I mean?
I guess I'd owe it to everybody, not just myself. The way I see it, I owe it to the fans who supported me the whole while. I mean, just personally, the competitive nature in me, but what does actually my heart holds the passion for is to give what I could have, never got through, be it my mistakes or others. Go ahead and give them the one good time where, not necessarily that I leave them on, but you know, there wasn't a start with no finish.
I've seen people since I was a kid come and go. They want the shot, they try, they just find themselves on the indies every show. They're not going anywhere. They give up. Down the line, they come back again. Everyone wants that shot. Everyone wants it. No matter how old you get, everyone wants to be on top. I'm thinking, in the back of my head, maybe they do need a 5'10", 200-pound, Italian-looking boy. Maybe they need it. Maybe they don't. Maybe Marty Jannetty's head, it's the same thing. Maybe they need, an old legend to come back. Maybe they need Danny Inferno. Maybe they need Crowbar. You never know what they need, so you're just gonna make something with the tools that you have. No matter how old you get, no matter how many shots you get, there's always that chance for that one more shot.
You know it's MJ in the house, otherwise known as Marty Jannetty, the Rocker. Now they forgot when they got retired. Still doing the thing in the ring, rocking and rolling, strutting and strolling, slamming, jamming, moving and grooving.